Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're exploring a massive, booming trend that is literally taking over neighborhoods everywhere: backyard independence. We're going to look at the hard realities of transforming your everyday yard into a hub of self-reliance. It's a super exciting concept, no doubt about it, but we really need to look at the hard data to see what it actually takes to pull this off. I want you to imagine, just for a second, a life entirely free from commercial supply chains. Imagine walking out your back door to literally pick your dinner, and then just stepping over to a garden bed to harvest a remedy for your headache or a cold. No standing in line at the pharmacy, no worrying about wild inflation at the grocery store. I mean, it sounds like an absolute dream, right? But how close can we actually get to this reality? Let's find out. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with Section 1, the return to roots, then move right into 2, 5 minutes to food. Section 3 is building a backyard pharmacy, followed by 4, the science of healing. Then we'll scale up in Section 5, the ultimate off-grid yard. And finally, we'll hit Section 6, the true cost of growing. We're going to journey all the way from the absolute easiest micro-gardening techniques straight up to full off-grid realities. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the return to roots, tracing plant medicine through history. Now, it's really easy to look at the current explosion of herbal gardening kits online and think, oh, this is just some modern internet fad. But the data shows us this is actually a return to our most fundamental human history. Going back 60,000 years ago, at the Neanderthal Shanidar cave site in Iraq, we literally find pollen from medicinal plant species in burial grounds. That's incredible. Fast forward to 3000 BC, and Sumerians were recording hundreds of plant medicines, including opium, on clay tablets. The ancient Egyptians, they documented over 800 plant medicines in the Ebers Papyrus around 1550 BC. And by 60 AD, the Greek physician Dioscorides documented over 1,000 recipes using 600 medicinal plants. And get this, that text formed the basis of medicine for the next 1,500 years. Harvesting plants for health is literally woven into human DNA. So the question is, how do we bring that ancient practice into our modern, hectic world? Section 2, 5 minutes to food, micro-gardening for busy people. If you've ever felt completely intimidated by the idea of traditional gardening, the heavy digging, the endless weeding, the massive time commitment, well, there's a framework called the 5-Minute Garden that's designed specifically to remove those barriers. It breaks the whole process down into 4 super efficient steps. Step 1 is a simple setup using really affordable materials. You don't need a massive plot of land. This works perfectly on apartment balconies. Step 2 is smart planting. This means choosing high-value money tree crops that actually slash your grocery bills but require minimal care. Step 3 is the core of the whole thing, a 5-minute daily routine, just checking growth and watering rather than giving up your entire weekend. And Step 4 is harvest and repeat. It's a real game changer because it completely shifts the paradigm from working harder to working smarter. And the results of lowering this barrier to entry? They are striking. Just listen to what Sarah from Texas had to say. She noted, "In just days, I had fresh herbs growing with less effort than making coffee." By shrinking the physical and mental space required to grow food, modern systems are instantly building confidence for busy professionals who previously thought they just didn't have a green thumb. So now that we've seen how easily you can grow food, let's shift our focus over to growing medicine. Section 3. Building a backyard pharmacy. The 10 essential healing herbs. To build this out, we look at systems like Dr. Nicola Pillion's Medicinal Garden Kit. What it does is curate 10 specific plants into what's basically a living first aid kit. You've got fast-acting trauma responders, like yarrow to actually stop bleeding, and calendula to promote skin healing and stave off infection. Then you have your deep system regulators, California poppy for restorative sleep, feverfew, which acts kind of like nature's aspirin for migraines, and echinacea as your absolute immunity powerhouse. The kit also includes chicory for pain, marshmallow for digestion, chamomile for calming down, evening primrose for your skin and nerves, and lavender for anxiety. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how to transform passive, everyday landscaping into targeted therapeutic tools. But let's take a step back for a second here. We hear a ton of marketing claims about herbs, right? But what is the actual biology going on behind the scenes? Section 4, the science of healing. How plants actually work as medicine. Here's the thing. Plants don't produce these chemicals to help us humans. They produce them to survive. Take alkaloids, for example. These are bitter-tasting, often toxic compounds that evolved purely as a plant's defense mechanism to fend off insects and herbivores. But when introduced to the human body, these exact same defense chemicals act as incredibly powerful drugs. Think about morphine from the opium poppy, nicotine from tobacco, or even the caffeine in your morning coffee. These are all alkaloids. They literally bind directly to our cellular receptors and trigger massive pharmacological effects. It's pretty wild. Then we have glycosides. A prime example here would be the cardiac glycosides found in the beautiful but highly toxic foxglove plant. For centuries, foxglove was used in folk medicine for heart conditions, way before we had any clue about the science. Well, today we know it contains digoxin. That's a powerful glycoside that physically supports the beating of the heart, and it's actually used in conventional modern medicine right now for atrial fibrillation and heart failure. So those botanical claims you read about, they are frequently grounded in very real, very potent biochemistry. Okay, so we've mastered windowsill herbs and balcony vegetables. But what's the macroview? Section 5, the ultimate off-grid yard, scaling up to full homesteading. What if you want to bridge the huge gap between a few simple garden kits and a comprehensive, totally self-sufficient homestead? Is it genuinely possible to completely sever your ties with the grocery store and the power company? To understand what ultimate independence requires, we look at the insights of Ron and Johanna Melchior. They have lived entirely off-grid for over 40 years. Their comprehensive guide, The Self-Sufficient Backyard, outlines over 100 intense DIY projects. See, at this scale, you can't just throw a few seeds in the dirt. You need a highly strategic space layout that maximizes absolutely every single square foot. You need high-yield superfood cultivation just to sustain your daily caloric needs. You must engineer your own rainwater collection, purification, and irrigation systems. You have to build and maintain DIY renewable energy, like solar or wind. And for protein, you're looking at integrating small-scale livestock, like chickens and even aquaponics. It becomes a fully integrated, incredibly resilient ecosystem. So the crucial point is, what does all of this actually cost? And I don't just mean in money, I mean in your life energy. Section 6, the true cost of growing, analyzing the financial and time investments. A recent 5-year cost analysis by Scribe compared buying the Medicinal Garden Kit versus simply buying high-quality herbal supplements straight from the store. And the contrast here is staggering. Over 5 years, the kit and ongoing gardening supplies will run you roughly $260 to $500. If you bought those exact same standardized supplements commercially, you'd spend between $3,300 and $5,400. So yes, you are saving thousands of dollars. But there's a hidden catch, and it's the time investment. Buying supplements takes about 25 hours of shopping time over 5 years. Growing and processing them yourself, that requires 250 to 500 hours of your life. Let's really emphasize that single number for a second. 250 to 500 hours. That is the hidden cost of backyard growing. I mean, if you value your time at even just $20 an hour, that's $5,000 to $10,000 worth of your time. You really have to ask yourself, what is your time actually worth? If you view gardening as a joyful, relaxing hobby, then this time is beautifully spent. But if you view it as just another chore on your to-do list, those monetary savings evaporate instantly. And beyond just time, there's a really vital medical reality to consider here. Consistency. Commercial extracts are standardized. They are lab tested so that every single drop has a consistent, guaranteed chemical strength. Homegrown herbs, on the other hand, have highly variable potency. The chemical strength of your backyard echinacea depends heavily on your specific soil, the weather that season, and exactly when you harvested it. You literally cannot self-test it. For mild, everyday wellness, homegrown is fantastic. But for serious, critical health conditions, the reliability of store-bought remedies becomes a massive factor. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the reality check it gives us. Marketing often implies that you'll grow this lush, perfect pharmacy instantly, but the data reveals a much different, realistic success rate for beginners. Only 30 to 40% of kit buyers successfully grow 7 to 10 of the herbs. The vast majority, 40 to 50%, only succeed with 4 to 6 of the easier herbs, stuff like chamomile and calendula. And 10 to 20% fail almost entirely, growing 3 or fewer. Herbs like California poppy or feverfew can be incredibly finicky depending on your specific local climate. So based on all of this data, what is the most logical path forward? Well, experts recommend what they call the hybrid approach. Basically, buy a kit and grow the high-success, easy herbs that naturally thrive in your climate. Enjoy the process, make your own teas and salves, and absolutely reap those financial savings on those specific plants. But for the difficult-to-grow herbs, or the ones you desperately need highly standardized for serious health issues, just purchase commercial extracts. This perfectly balances your monetary savings, your time investment, and it guarantees reliable health benefits. Which brings us to our final thought. The trend of backyard self-sufficiency isn't just about saving a few extra dollars at the grocery store. It is a fundamental lifestyle choice. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Is your time worth more than the money you'll save? Or is the feeling of true independence, of knowing exactly where your food and medicine come from, absolutely priceless? Think about what actually fits your life. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.